Hello viewers, Will Underwood here from Gambling Insider. I'm here with Arcangelo Lonoce, Head of Business Development at Habanero. Thanks for joining us, and I wanted to open with a question about, obviously 2024 has been a big year for AI and personalization. I wanted to sort of inquire about how that has changed your approach as a slot provider specifically. How do you think that that's changed the way that you approach your business in, looking forward?
Well, first and foremost, thank you very much for having us. We are looking into AI. I believe that AI has made a dramatic difference when it comes to operation, B2C, in relation to personalization of content, really, when it comes to websites and so forth. Where it comes to the production of games, I've always maintained that working in this industry, you need to be a little bit careful what you do with innovation, because one of the things that make gambling so interesting to a lot of us is walking the very thin line between innovation and tradition. You need to make sure that the first and most important element that you need to provide to your clients is the sort of excitement and entertainment that sits at the very basic of the player's psychology. And we're all players in a way or another in our lives. So we are looking at AI in terms of the specific production of games. I wouldn't want to bore you with technicalities, because it would get really technical when it comes to game development. But we are incorporating it and using it in the game production process. But you wouldn't necessarily be able to talk about it, because it doesn't dramatically affect the gameplay effectively.
And obviously Italy is a very big market for you at Habanero, and I believe we've got some upcoming changes to licensing legislations. How do you think that maybe suppliers looking to enter the market, or ones that are already in the market, should be preparing for those changes?
Oh, I guess entering the market. I mean, let's say that I think I consider myself lucky that we entered the market a few years ago, because that's given us time to build traction in the market and forge strategic alliances with key operators and create a history. So the new licensing environment will probably consolidate the market even further that the latest trends have done, which means that being able to create partnerships, strong partnerships, and being able to cater for new needs on the operator side is going to be absolutely paramount to succeed in the new environment. And I think we're well poised for that, because first of all, we do have a history, and we do have fantastic partnerships in Italy with most of the stakeholders. And the second important element is our ability to deliver scalable solutions that would allow our clients to have our support, or whatever they need to do. And in this industry, and especially in this market, it is extremely important to be able to react very quick to the changes. So I mean, the point is, thank God we entered a few years ago. That's it.
And sort of speaking of geographical locations and targeting markets, I was wondering, as a game supplier and developer, how you approach maybe developing a game for a certain continental market. Do you ever sort of think that maybe developing a game that is designed around a certain style might end up resonating in a completely different part of the world? Is that ever something that comes into the thought process as a supplier like yourself?
I think at game development it does, but this is my assumption. I can speak as a professional who's been in this industry for over 20 years, so I've seen a lot of things over these 20 years. And generally, I think that the product, as long as the product is good, it will resonate. And the quality of the product, is the holy grail, the understanding of why a slot is good, why it's not. I always make a comparison with songwriting. When you write a song, you can never ever know whether the song is going to be successful or not. I mean, we have plenty of examples of songs that probably, think of Song 2, Blur's Song 2. I mean, that song, they didn't even bother to give it a name, right? Yeah. And it was probably written in, 5 minutes, okay? And that's the biggest song they ever did, which is brilliant. That happens with slots. It's very difficult to understand what's going to make a slot successful. So, over the years, we have been able as professionals to identify certain trends, cultural trends here and there, which generally have a lot to do with the mechanics of the gameplay rather than the themes, for example. And this is something that, it is used, I believe, in slot production, in game production. Said so, we do have a proven track record as a supplier of consistency in terms of success of a game in different territories, which is also baffling if you think about it, or at least it might confirm my theory, my assumption that a good game is a good game everywhere. So the consistency of the performance of games, a Christmas game everywhere in the world at any season of the year, go and explain that, right? I mean, you think it's a seasonal game. It's not just a seasonal game, it's a great game with great features, great dynamics, great gameplay, great storytelling, lots of hooks, another relation to the songs, right? So, songwriting. So yeah, I believe there is an element of that in the development at the beginning of the brief, but I don't think that's the most important thing.
Focusing the lens in a little bit on that sort of development process, how do you feel that the process has sort of changed, not to get too technical, but the development of sort of in-game play features, how do you think that that's sort of changed over the last couple of years, and how has that sort of affected your approach?
My take on it is that we all suppliers, we're trying to just experiment with any sort of possibility to render our games as engaging as possible. I mean, we're all part in this day and age of a great transition from, possibly an old idea of gambling into a totally, completely and clear entertainment value environment, which means that creating engagement, being able to absorb the player into a story, it's absolutely essential. That inevitably will dictate what happens with the features, where the features have got to have to be consistent with the story that you're trying to tell, and being inherently consistent with the base game, effectively. So this is cultural and theoretical. I can't go too technical into it, but the ability to experiment with features and with generally the rendition of a mathematical model is absolutely key, I believe, to engage the discerning player in 2024 and even more so in 2025.
Actually, that leads me quite nicely onto my final question. When we spoke to you about 18 months ago, you said, or maybe a little bit more, you said that your key word for 2023 was going to be expansion. So I wanted to ask you what your words for 2024 and 2025 would be, looking back and then looking forward.
More expansion. But we also have to consolidate and grow in markets where we've expanded, because inevitably expanding is really important. And for us, it's not too difficult because, like I said, all of our business is built on scalability. So expanding is fairly easy for us, and that makes things really relevant to the environment that we live in, with markets opening up here and there, everywhere in the world. So it's no secret that we're all excited about Brazil these days. We're very excited about Peru. We're very excited about the US, inevitably. As far as we're concerned, we do have a few targets in Europe that we haven't been able to deliver yet, because we're taking licenses in Greece, and we're about to enter Switzerland. These are two markets that we don't operate in yet, but we will do soon. The expansion that we've seen in Latin America in the last year has been absolutely spectacular. And that is testament to the growth of the sales team as well in 2023, late 2023 and 2024. So we're very well poised for Brazil at the moment. And so we look forward to going live there. At the same time, like I said, we do have challenges, like all of us, in existing markets. Italy, you mentioned Italy earlier, that is the first one that comes to mind. It is our biggest market after South Africa as well. So Italy will be a really interesting test, because I think the conditions will change dramatically for suppliers. But we're in a very good position to make sure that we can capitalize on the changes ahead. So more expansion and consolidation.
Arcangelo, thanks very much for joining us.